Welcome back to another episode of the Top Dogs podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dauster, and they say keep your enemies close. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, right? And today I'm cavorting with the enemy. You see his jersey over there over his shoulder. He is an Illini. He is Mike LaTulip. He wore that uniform. He played for him. He watched UConn put a 30-0 run on Illinois in the 2024 Elite Eight.
Like 25 seconds? Yeah.
He watched the last time he watched his team play in Madison Square Garden. They got absolutely pistol whipped by Duke, and he is here to tell us why this is going to be the moment that Illinois turns this around and finds a way to be able to give us an entertaining basketball game here to watch. So obviously we are previewing UConn and Illinois playing in the Garden at 12:30 on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. We just found out yesterday that Dan Hurley is not allowing his players to eat turkey on the day of Thanksgiving. They are eating turkey the day before Thanksgiving. How much of an impact do you think that is going to have on UConn's ability to be able to actually make shots from beyond the arc?
Well, first of all, the over-under for the mention of the 30-0 run was at 22 and a half seconds. And I think you're right around it. You're right. You're hovering right around that. It is a double demon exercising situation here for Illinois with UConn and Madison Square Garden. But I honestly, I think it's kind of brilliant from Hurley, because there's a lot of coaches that would just be kind of status quo right before, and that is Thanksgiving is probably the one holiday that you just do not want to load up on, especially for an early tip. So, what was the phrase he used? How did he describe the turkey? Or, I admittedly, it was a word I'd never heard before.
Tryptophan?
Sure, yeah.
You've never heard of tryptophan?
The way you just said it made it sound like it was your first time hearing it too.
No, you've never heard of tryptophan?
What's tryptophan?
What? It's the stuff that makes you sleepy in turkey. It's why you eat all the food on Thanksgiving. You eat all this turkey and then you fall asleep on the couch because of the tryptophan. It's not because of the booze that you've been drinking all day on Thanksgiving, or the fact that you just ate enough food to feed an entire army in one meal in one sitting. That has nothing to do with it. It's not the itis. It's the tryptophan, the tulip.
That's good to know.
All right, let's break down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's break down this matchup. I think we were texting about this a little bit earlier. I think it's a little difficult to really dive too deep into this without knowing who's going to be healthy and who's going to be playing. UConn is phrasing both Braylon Mullins and Terrace Reed as game time decisions. I don't believe that both will end up playing. I am hoping that both will end up playing. I think Terrace Reed is dealing with a little bit of a high ankle thing that he suffered against BYU, and 13 days between a high ankle sprain and getting back on the court against a top 15, top 10 caliber team seems relatively quick. Braylon Mullins is back practicing. I believe he's doing a little bit of on-court stuff now, but that does not lead me to believe that the first time that we see him in a game that matters for UConn, the best situation would be throwing him in there against Illinois in Madison Square Garden, in that arena, in that environment. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Let me start with this. Can you just kind of give a breakdown of what Illinois does well, what kind of team they are this season, and why you believe that they are a threat to be able to make some noise, not just on Friday, but some noise in the Big Ten and in college basketball generally this season?
Yeah, they have a ton of talent, specifically on the offensive end, but they've figured out ways to overcome what I think is somewhat of a lack of athleticism in their front court. Zavonimir has it, but by and large, the front court is a little bit immobile at times. Alabama attacked them, got downhill on them in ball screens, got switches, got in the paint, and really the same thing. Same thing kind of happened last night with UT Rio Grande Valley. They went small and just tried to deck the big. So that's a point of emphasis for sure for Illinois. But I mentioned the offense. They have a ton of different levers that they can pull. I think they're a better shooting team than last year. Stojakovic gives them an element that is very reminiscent of 2 years ago with Marcus Damask. and how they just had that possession control and were able to back you down in attack matchups. A quick stat for you: Stojakovic right now, as it pertains to the Big Ten, is leading the Big Ten in points in the paint per game,
Mhm.
more than Trey Kaufman-Renn, more than Pharrell Payne. So that just shows you just his ability, no matter who you stick on him. It didn't matter against Texas Tech, didn't matter against Alabama. He finds his way in there and he's converting at almost an 80% rate around the rim. So that's been a huge jolt for their offense and the stability around their offense. But they have a lot of other weapons too. David Mirkovic has had a 2020 game this year. He can pose problems, especially in the low post. Tommy Ivasic is getting back, getting healthy. There's just honestly, I mean, UConn's catching Illinois at a time right now where they're really searching for role identification, like a lot of teams are, but a true 8 to 9 guys that they want to roll with, and how much or how little they want to roll with those guys is really where Illinois is at right now. Because you add Petrovic to the mix. There's a lot of guys right now, and they're trying to not rock the boat with what flows both offensively and defensively, and that's the challenge here for them early season.
Yeah, I think that Mirkovic is going to end up being the guy that is the really interesting matchup here. I'm going to frame this as we kind of go through this as if Reed is going to play. I think it's easier to talk about it as if Reed is going to play than if he's not going to play. And if he does play, I think that he and Tommy kind of balance each other out, right? I think that both of them are probably top 10 big men in the sport.
Yeah.
Both of them would probably make an argument top 5. I think Kai Boswell and Silas Demery are going to end up matched up on each other. I'm worried about who is guarding Keaton Wagler because of his size. Solo Ball is 6 foot with a 6'7" wingspan, so he plays a little bigger than he is, but no one has ever accused Solo Ball of being a guy that regards defense first and foremost. So that is going to be a difficult matchup. And then you got Stojakovic. My guess is it ends up being the matchup on UConn side is Jalen Stewart gets the start on him. I would assume that Braylon Mullins is going to, I think eventually he'll be the starter, but I think he will, if he plays, he will be coming off the bench in this game. So I think Stewie will start on Stojakovic and Caravan will start on Mirkovic. And this is really similar to what we talked about this offline, Mike, the issues that came up in the matchup with Arizona, right? Defensively, Caravan is not really built to handle somebody that is a low post guy, right? I think he's at his best when he's switchable, when he's guarding perimeter players, even when he's guarding guys that are a little smaller than him, because I think he has the length to be able to play off and contest jumpers, and he's quick enough to be able to kind of slide his feet and keep somebody in front. It's when he's going up against someone that can kind of put a shoulder into his chest and knock him off balance that he struggles. And I think that that's going to be a difficult matchup for him with Mirkovic. But on the other side, Mirkovic has got to chase him around all those screens.
Yeah.
And if Brad Underwood goes back and watches the film for what Arizona did, it's the same thing that Creighton did when Ryan Kalkbrenner would be playing. That is just overemphasizing going over everything, right? Every down screen, every pin down, every stagger, every ball screen, everything. Go over it, chase the guy coming off the screen, and funnel him into the paint. Don't let Solo Ball run off and get a catch and shoot 3 behind a screen. Don't let Alex Caravan get a catch and shoot 3 behind a screen. Make them curl in and go deal with Tommy in and around the paint at the rim. And if they're going to beat you with 12-foot jumpers or foul line jumpers or floaters over a 7-footer, then that's what you live with if you're Illinois. And that is where I think UConn is going to have a little bit of trouble because you lose the benefit of that matchup, of the mismatch on your end, because if you go over all those screens and you find a way to be able to make that work, I think it becomes something that's really difficult for Illinois to deal with.
And it's a lot of what Illinois has done defensively over the years, which is just 2-on-2 in the middle of the floor. It's a lot like what Arizona did, but this isn't funneling it to Krivas. Like this is Krivas is a better rim protector than Tommy is. Zavonimir can obviously protect the rim, but you're right. It's going over everything. It's funneling Demery. It's funneling Ball, funneling him to that middle part of the floor, and having them settle for 14 to 18-foot jumpers. That is the game plan and should be the game plan for Illinois. But for Mirkovic, that is the question for me, because if Stewart starts, which I think we expect him to, that's probably the assignment for Mirkovic. I like Stojakovic on Caravan.
Yes.
I think that has to be the move. You just don't want.
And just
I'm
real
a
quick, that's the cross match that Arizona did. Like they put Pete on Jalen
Yeah,
Stewart and they put
Karchenkov. Yeah,
Karchenkov on Caravan.
yeah, and even Aristod when he came in the game was I thought physical with Caravan, and I think that type of length and athleticism has a chance to bother Caravan. But I will say, I mean, you know this, you've watched UConn more than anybody. If you aren't prepared for that spot with Caravan, it's not just like, hey, if you're not prepared, Caravan will give you 25. He will break your defense just based off of losing him or bumping a screen or creating two on the ball to where it shatters everything around you to where Terrace Reed's getting dunks, Demery's getting downhill. That's the importance of a Caravan. Now the flip side, and this is kind of what I expect if Reed plays, because this is what I saw Alabama do, and I'm really curious to see if UConn does the same thing. I would expect Terrace Reed to guard David Mirkovic, and I would expect Caravan to guard Tommy Ivisic. Because effectively, Tommy and Z become perimeter guys. They're not going to hurt you in the low post. Mirkovic will try to do that, and so I wonder if that's the cross match too. Because if you do put Terrace Reed on Tommy, you're just taking and Mirkovic is going to play on the perimeter as well. But you put him on Tommy, that's pulling Terrace Reed away from the basket. And we know I talked about this on After Dark after the Arizona game, but when Reed's on the floor and when he's off the floor, there's a 20% field goal difference at the rim. It's insane. And that just speaks to, when you have a true big down there, he can just hang out. And you can't do that with Tommy. And even Mirkovic can step out and shoot it. So those are the two spots. I mean, it all stems from like the Mirkovic Caravan. It's the front court and how that aligns. And I just talked about like the bigs getting attacked for Illinois. It's also on Kylan Boswell, who frankly was not very good against UT Rio Grande Valley. Like if the bigs are struggling in space to guard, that is on the guards to fight over screens and not concede switches like I thought they did against Alabama at the end of the game, where it's like even if they're coming in to set a screen and it's just Bull Bowen coming up and just kind of giving like a interchange up top, that shouldn't be a switch. If Terrace Reed or Ryba, Ryba,
Ryba.
yeah, Goodman messed me up. After I had it nailed down, and
Goodman went full Reby.
Goodman went Reeby, and then I started second guessing. But anyways, like if you have him in the game and you start like I want Illinois to stay out of switches. That's what I want. They've done it at times this year, and I don't want to see it. Do what Arizona did, keep the matchups, and just funnel everything into the paint, and then live to fight another day and corral the rebound and get out on the break. That should be the game plan. But I'm curious about the 4-5 spot, the front court on both ends. I think it's going to be the story of the game.
Yeah, I think so as well. And that's really interesting. I'd forgotten that Alabama had switched those
Sherelle.
matchups.
Yeah,
I think
Sherelle on Mirkovic.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Especially because like when I think of Tommy, it's the pick and pops, right? It's the catch and shoots from beyond the arc. That's kind of the thing that makes him the most effective. I really do believe, we saw BYU try to switch everything against UConn. And I don't think that that's what you can do unless that is what you always do, right? The amount of communication that you need to have to be able to switch everything when UConn is doing all that misdirection stuff, and they have all that movement, and they had all those gross screens, and there's all those back doors, and they have counters to your counters to your counters. So even if you think you know what's coming, then boom, they're going to go back door and get a layup out of it, or they're going to end up getting you confused and get a wide open three. The way to really blow up their offense is to funnel everything into the paint, because what they want to do at the end of the day is they want to get catch and shoot threes coming off the screens, right? And then they want to be able to use the space that they create from that to create seals for Terrace Reed, where all he has to do is kind of catch it, turn, and lay the ball in. That's what they want out of their offense. And if you can force them to have to play off the bounce and hit pull-ups, then that really effectively eliminates so much of what they are able to create with the ball movement and with the misdirections. And I will be very curious to see if that's something that Illinois really overemphasizes, right? Like I'm sure that they've watched that Arizona film 100 different times.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they've watched what UConn did in past seasons because they played them as recently as 2024. And it was all the same shit that they're doing now, they were doing back then.
Switching 1 through 5 off the ball. I don't care who the team is. Switching 1 through 5 off the ball is the single dumbest thing you can do against UConn. Like that's Dan Hurley salivating on the sideline when he sees that. And especially that BYU game, I wasn't like rooting. I didn't have a rooting interest in the game, but you sit there and kind of pull your hair out when you're like, dude, you don't have Kennard Davis and Keita's out of the game. Two of your best defenders are out, and now you want to switch 1 through 5 off the ball. I mean, that's like going out of your way to make life difficult on yourself because there's so much you have to like. You start getting into this game, just point, hey, go there, go. They're gonna dice you.
Hmm.
And specifically, Caravan, like I said, is just a master at understanding the gaps in between the switches and where to bump back, where to kind of eat up that space where, the guy passes you off and the other guy hasn't quite recovered over to you. He's so good at that. And so I don't expect Illinois to do that. I don't expect Illinois to switch 1 through 5 at all. You can't do that because you're just going to put, you have to trail. And look, you're going to get in, if Terrace Reed plays, you're going to get in, and Ryba too, you're going to get into low post situations. It's just the nature of when they run those screens on the baseline or all these different actions they have, like you have to open up a window to let your wings and guards go through to trail. And by doing that, you leave space for Reed or Ryba to eat it up and either seal on the front side on the same side as the ball or seal in the middle third of the floor. So it's why this is one of the best offenses in the country because they just have, they have a lot of different pitches that they can throw at you. And that's why condensing it down to trail everything, trail, funnel into the paint has to be the game plan for Illinois.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. There is no sport in America that is more difficult to follow than college basketball. It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for injury updates, recruiting news, and transfer portal additions that actually matter. For just $50 a year, get access to the same information that your favorite team's coaching staff is subscribed for. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help you with that. Yep. The other matchup that I'm curious to see. We mentioned Solo Ball, Keaton Waddle. I think that one's kind of self-explanatory, right? You got a guy that is an elite shooter, a guy that is a 6'6" wing, and two players where the size difference, I think, will have an impact on how that plays out. But it's Kai Boswell and Silas Demery because of what Boswell can do defensively. I still believe that Demery is probably the most important piece of UConn's offense because he's the guy that can get a paint touch where when you do all of that stuff and run all that action and they kind of blow it up and you don't get a shot out of it, he's the one guy that you can give the ball to and say, go make something happen. And he can actually do it, right? So much of what made Tristan Newton effective, and you've heard me say this before, Mike, is they run all this stuff. It doesn't work. You give the ball to Tristan Newton. You either put him in a ball screen or let him go ISO. And he's good enough to be able to either get a shot himself, get a paint touch, create a three, like kick it out to someone, or draw a foul. And we've seen Silas do that to some level of success so far this season. He was terrific against BYU. He had a triple-double against Bryant. But he's also been a little bit – he's still trying to figure out exactly what he needs to do and when he needs to do it and what Hurley wants out of him in specific situations. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there that's still kind of developing. And if you're on a learning curve, the last person that you want to see guarding you is fucking Kai Boswell.
Yeah. I mean, like the thing with Silas is you're adjusting to, and it's why I think everybody talks about fit in the portal and in the offseason. but you're seeing firsthand what fit is doing to a player like Silas. I think you have to adjust to being, uh, not having he has the ball in his hands, obviously, but there's other components to this UConn offense that are different from what he did at Georgia, where it was just ball in your hands a lot, high ball screen. But what I think this offense has done for him, you look at Georgia last year, he conceded so many possessions with pull-ups. Just just be, hey, I maybe have an angle to get downhill, but let me just take this 17-footer. And Dan Hurley, like he does, has kind of removed that from his game. I think 43% of his shots last year from two were off the dribble, and it's like 14% this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, or the jumpers. And so he's taken that out of his game. And I just think, again, like it's actually amazing thinking about some of the parallels between Demery and Boswell. They're kind of like, I think both of them are pretty underrated as far as like their standing nationally. And if there's one thing with Kylan is like he reads all the stuff, sees all the stuff, and he knows that this is a matchup that a lot of people are going to have eyeballs on. We saw what he did to Mark Sears last year, held him scoreless. I thought he was great on Christian Anderson, him and Stojakovic. So I mean, I think Stojakovic could get a turn on Demery too. I think that's on the table as well, just because they like his ability, especially if you're going to drop and play in the middle of the floor. Stojakovic's ability to trail and get that like rear view contest on shots coming downhill while you have Tommy or any of these guys in drop, like that's such an added benefit.
Having that length behind you when you're coming off and trying to make that pull up is just something you have to be cognizant of, and it makes
it's kind of like that. You're kind of always looking behind you, or he's so good. I mean, that Christian Anderson block he had at the end of the game at Texas Tech, it's like, oh, I think I have 6 feet of space, and he just eats that up in 2 seconds, and so. It's that is the matchup. And honestly, like for UConn fans, I'm sure it's like you see the importance of Demery because you saw last year when you didn't have that. It's like Newton, some of these guys, and then last year don't have that. This year have that again. You're like, oh, that is kind of, even though it's a very, kind of free, I don't want to say free flowing because it's very set driven and continuity driven. But when you have somebody late clock, especially that can break you down and go get one, it's pretty damn important. He's been impressive for sure.
Yep. All right. Give me a prediction. What do you got? The projection right now on KenPom, by the way, is 79-77 UConn winning. And that is probably assuming that Terrace Reed is going to be playing at full strength, which is, I think, a pretty big assumption to make. This will be played at the Garden for, if you're listening to this, you probably realize what it means to play at the Garden for UConn. There's a reason they call it Stores South. And it is going to be loud. There's going to be a lot of people there, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of UConn fans that have decided to turn a trip to Madison Square Garden into a Black Friday shopping extravaganza afterwards down there in New York City. So give me a prediction, Mike. What do you got?
I think if Terrace Reed plays, I think UConn wins the game. I just think he's going to be such a handful for them on the interior, and that's been an area that Illinois struggled in, and so that would be my prediction if Terrace Reed plays. If Terrace Reed doesn't play, I do think Illinois wins the game. So that sounds very simple, and that's probably not great analysis, but I just think that front court matchup that we're talking about and how that's kind of the swing in the game. If Reed doesn't play, I think that makes it kind of difficult on Ryba, and now Ryba's got to be out on the perimeter a lot, chasing around Mirkovic and chasing around Tommy and those guys. I think that's a taller task. But then again, if Mullins plays and Reed's out, that's another factor you got to weigh in, because I think what you could see in addition to Mullins is like I'm staring at that whatever it is 10 for.
Well, you know what Mullins does. Mullins' presence makes it so that you can't cross switch the 3 and the 4. You can't put Mirkovic on Braylon Mullins.
No,
no chance. No chance that you can do that. But you also don't want Mirkovic on Caravan. So if anything, the consequence of that could end up being a smaller lineup, right? If you bring in someone like Hummerkaus and have him on there, he could probably chase around Caravan a little bit. Or I don't know if how much they've done this. You would probably know better than me, but play Petrovic and Boswell and Wagler with Stojakovic and one of the big guys out there.
They've done it. They've done it. They just, I don't think they want to do it often because it takes away from, I mean, they're one of the best rebounding teams in
Mhm.
America. And I think you concede that when you roll that out there. So I think Rickhouse is the one that probably gets minutes because he's their best perimeter defender in the front court. He's their best just front court defender, period. So it's gonna be fascinating. But I'm looking at what is solo ball? Like 10 for 40 from three this season.
Something like that. He is.
Doesn't this feel like if Illinois is not careful, it's a get right game?
I mean, I thought that Arizona was going to be a get right game, and then I thought that Bryant was going to be a get right game, and it's not.
As an Illinois guy, I hate the fact it hasn't happened, Rob.
Yeah, he's. I think Hurley said it best the other day. He goes, "Whenever a guy's in a slump, that just tells me that he's due." So, this hopefully
Don't
this
love
is the game
that.
that it gets it
Love that.
going.
Love that for Solo. Don't love that for Illinois.
I also I just I don't think that this is the greatest matchup in the world for him, right? Again, Wagler, he's probably going to be chased around by Wagler. Actually, that'll be interesting. Do you think that they'll put Boswell on Demery? I feel like that's what you have to do, and then let one of these longer guys chase Solo around screens.
Yeah, I think Stojakovic will get a turn on Demery, but I do think that's probably Wagler's assignment. Would be like, yeah, Wagler's been really good on that end. It's a big reason why he's pretty much leading them in
He's been
minutes.
really good on everywhere.
He's
Like it's
just a
not.
really good player. Yeah, he's
He's
just
a fucking
he leads
stud,
them in
man.
free throws. Like he's just it's great. He had two high major offers. It's insane.
He's a pro. He's
Yeah.
gonna. I'd be surprised if he lasted more than 2 seasons at Illinois. I think there's a real chance that he hears his name called in the first round next year.
Yeah,
So,
good player. Good
yeah.
player. Let me say this, Rob, before we wrap, and for the people listening, I asked Rob offline earlier today. Said, "Do you think Mullins goes?" And I'm trying to bring substance and I'm trying to work on this preview. I want to make this a good top dog show. And Rob's over here acting like I'm asking him for the nuclear
No,
codes.
just tell him what my answer was.
You're like something about like I'd sooner tell you who shot JFK
No, no, no,
over.
no. I said I'm more likely to get an answer from UConn about whether or not he's playing. I'm more likely to get the answer on who shot JFK than get an answer from UConn on whether or not Braylon Mullins is playing. Like
I was asking for your gut as the UConn guy. I wasn't asking for anything. You thought I was over here like double agent, which is
you
crazy.
are, you are. I know you. I know you know that staff. I'm giving you nothing. You know what?
They're preparing for Mullins.
Silas
They
Demery. Silas
100%.
Demery tore his calf, so he's going to be out on
Wow.
Friday as well. Yeah, go text him. There you go. Let him know. I would say one of them will play. I feel confident saying one of them will play. Um, I would love if both of them played. Uh,
You were trying to throw me off the scent though.
I,
You were like, I think they both sit.
I don't know, man. Here's what I'll say. Like when you're dealing with an ankle sprain and what I've been told was a high ankle sprain that Terrace Reed is dealing with,
Yeah.
um, those things take time, right? And I think it's very risky bringing somebody back for a game this early in the season when it's the kind of thing that could end up lingering for a while. Now, the flip side of
We're
that
not even
is,
2 weeks out from that BYU game, right?
yeah, the flip side of it is if it wasn't that serious of an injury, like if it was just like a mild high ankle sprain, then maybe Terrace Reed's the kind of guy that will try to play through it. And like to be clear, I'm pretty sure that dude doesn't feel pain, so it might be one of those situations where he just kind of comes back. And with Mullins, it's when he first suffered the injury, we were told 6 weeks, and the
Was he
six
ankle
weeks
as
would have
well?
been yeah, it was an ankle. The 6 weeks would have been basically coming back for Jimmy V, right? I think 6 weeks would have been like December 7th from when he first initially injured it. So you're back probably 10 days earlier than maybe expected, which again, you're dealing with a freshman. I don't know if that's necessarily, hey, first college basketball game. Let's go into Madison Square Garden where 19,000 people are going to be on national television. You can go deal with a top 10 team in the country. Like that's a big ask, but also Braylon Mullins seems like a little bit of a different dude where he's the kind
I
of
was
guy.
gonna say if there's any freshman in the country you're not worried about integrating, like, oh, how's he gonna do if he he's just his presence alone, like you talked about, is just It's something you got to account for. No, without question. He's just, yeah. I watching his stuff in the summer. That is,
He's bad news.
it just pops off the screen. Like his ability to shoot it at different angles, and that's like just the tip of the iceberg with his game.
You know
Like
what it is
it's
with him? He's so good. He's fast sprinting around screens, right? He's got a quick release. He is a fucking dead eye shooter, and he's also got like he's athletic enough where he can raise up and dunk on people, and
yeah.
like his jumpers are shot from the top of that release point. So it's kind of similar to Solo, where when he's able to kind of get a step on you and rise up, he gets up so quick and he gets up so high that you are sprinting around to chase him. He's going to be another one of these guys that probably draws a lot of fouls coming off of threes because of the way that they run their offense and how fast he is. I will say, I hope that he does not develop the same habit that Solo has of falling down on everything and trying to get to the 3-point line.
I talked about that in After Dark. I think
Yeah, I
that's
think
a
you
real
did.
thing. I think
Yeah,
that's a real thing. I think he's like playing for the foul on his threes, which is hard to do. That's taking you psychologically out of what the actual
just shoot it, man. Like
plan is.
you're gonna get hit enough. Just like I would rather you make 40% of your threes and maybe get like two less foul calls than shoot 25% from three and get to the foul line once a game for three-pointers. So did I make my prediction?
Go ahead.
I think UConn finds a way to be able to win this, um, especially if they get Reed and Mullins back. I think that this is going to be something where
Yeah.
Solo Ball finds a way to get it going, and the matchups will I think will hopefully end up playing out in UConn's favor. But we'll see, man. This is gonna be good. I'm gonna be there. I'm going up. I'm going up for it. We'll see if I'm able to
You're a
actually.
a little closer than I am.
Yeah, you don't want to drive in.
I'm all set.
Takes
Yeah,
me
I'm
like, it
a,
takes me about 90 minutes to get from my door to the parking garage that I always park at in New York City for Madison Square Garden games.
think
So
it'd be about 13 hours for me. So I'm all good. Gonna watch it. Gonna watch it with my family. You know, family man. What do you? Are you your family going with you?
no, so I was gonna try to bring my son up, but we have something that night that at 6 o'clock that he has to be at, and
Can't
uh,
risk.
I
Yeah,
can't risk it because I'm
yeah.
gonna have to stay after and hopefully be interviewing a UConn guy instead of an Illinois guy after that win, and then getting out of there. I'm worried about getting out of the city. That's the thing. It's not whether or not I'd be able to make it in time. It's like okay, there could be a lot of traffic leaving New York City on that Friday afternoon. So um, we'll figure it out. Mike,
Yeah, you said 15 to 20 minutes. You should know better. You should know better with you and I, with me
we
specifically.
we
But
did 15 plus 20 minutes actually. Listen, great to see you, man. We'll be friends for most of this long weekend, but between 12:30 and probably 2:45, there won't be a lot of communication between the two of us. So
that's fine by me.
good seeing you, man.
All right, man.